The Solomon Islands is a nation with a history of instability. Riots in the capital of Honiara last November prompted Australia to send police and defence personnel to restore order again after a previous intervention ended in 2017.
That's an important relationship between Solomon Islands and Australia, and one which I am certain a lot of Solomon Islanders are very appreciative of.
But in the aftermath of the November riots, it became clear these tensions, although still related to deep-seated problems of development and unemployment, had a new element.
I think the fundamental difference was the China factor in the discussion.
Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare cut ties with Taiwan and recognised China in 2019, a move that was and still is opposed by the provincial government of the country's most populous island of Malaya.
It wasn't so much ethnic, it was more derived from this sentiment of autonomy and democracy that they've continued to champion as their primary rationale.
And China's growing economic presence in this Pacific country has been a continuing source of domestic tension.
The whole thing is about the leader of the opposition and who else on the other side of the house wanting to be prime minister. That's what it is. You want to sit here?
And so what you saw, I think, is to a certain extent, yes, disagreement over geopolitics, but also an appropriation of these international relations issues to express domestic political differences.
Over the past 18 months, China has also been helping the Solomons with its internal security, including the training of local police. But the leaking of a draft agreement 4 weeks ago revealed this relationship was going to a whole new level, opening the way for a Chinese police and military presence in the Pacific nation.
The Solomon Islands-China agreement is so broad and in some cases vague that you could interpret it in a lot of ways. And I'm not sure whether that was done intentionally or it just happened to be what it is.
Since the leaking of the original draft, both China and the Solomons have explicitly ruled out the building of a military base.
We are not pressured. We are not pressured in any way by our new friends. And there is no intention whatsoever, Mr. Speaker, to ask China to build a military base in Solomon Islands.
But there's plenty of other options that could concern Australia.
When we talk about a red line, that a base would be crossing the red line, we've really moved the goalpost way, way down the track. There are a lot of preliminary steps that can be taken, and that's the point about the agreement.
I'm not sure China wants to build a military base if it can have access to the Solomons in other ways that does not require a military base.
China's growing presence in the Solomons raises questions about the effectiveness of Australia's foreign policy. The Morrison government has rejected opposition claims that cuts to foreign aid helped push Honiara closer to Beijing. And Australia remains by far the Solomons' biggest aid provider.
I don't think Australia has done anything wrong. I think, this decision was taken by the Solomon Islands government. And I think part of the decision is to play off the powers that are out there. And they are aware of the geopolitical competition.
There are also questions about how Solomon Islanders will react to a greater Chinese police and military presence.
There will be a lot of pushback from within the Solomons. And we have an election in 2023, although the government's trying to push it back another year. And although international relations issues do not often feature in Solomon Islands elections, this could be different.
We find that it's a very divisive agreement now in the Solomon Islands. The National Council of Women, for example, have come out recently and said they're totally opposed to it.
China has entered uncharted waters in the Pacific. securing a broad, ambitious agreement with a struggling nation that raises many more questions than it answers.
This agreement has warned the rest of the region, be careful of things like Chinese investments. They may, in the fullness of time, be wanting the same sort of special extraterritoriality, special protection for their aid projects and their economic investment in the other islands.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.